Here we are. So, a quick wrap on yesterday's South Carolina Republican primary. Donald Trump won by 10 points. Marco Rubio edged Ted Cruz for second. And Jeb Bush, he bailed, finally. Here's my take. You know that kid in school whose parents threw extravagant birthday parties hoping that some of his classmates would show up, but most of them don't? That was Jeb's campaign.
I'm proud of the campaign that we've run to unify our country. But the people of Iowa and New Hampshire and South Carolina have spoken, and I really respect their decision. So tonight, I am suspending my campaign. Yeah. Thank you.
Can't even do that well. Good luck, little soldier. And Donald. He's the popular jock in school whose circle everyone wants to join because if they aren't in it, they're terrified he might stuff their head in a locker.
A number of the pundits said, well, if a couple of the other candidates dropped out, if you add their scores together, it's going to equal Trump. Right? These geniuses, they're geniuses.
And then there's Rubio. Rubio taking second, but still looking like a kid selling magazine subscriptions so he can pay his way to summer camp. Seriously, he's not just boyish. He's like a lost Osmond, a Cuban Potsy.
The 21st century conservative movement is the son of a bartender and a maid from Cuba, who tonight stands one step closer to being the 45th president of the United States of America.
And what of Cruz? Trump wholly rolled him. He didn't even get the evangelicals, and those are his people. That's like me being shunned by the Oompa Loompas. It's like Michael Moore shunning a pie.
There is only one candidate who has led the fight against amnesty, who has led the fight against Obamacare, who has led the fight to defend life and marriage and religious liberty.
So there you have it. The crowd is winnowing, and Trump is winning. As for me, I still have my money on the one guy who matters, hoping he still might have a chance. Of course, I mean Vermin Supreme.
I have 4 planks in my platform. 1, mandatory toothbrushing. 2, zombie preparedness. 3, time travel research. And 4, free ponies for all Americans.
You can't beat that. All right. Starwall, you're the expert in all of this stuff.
Not after this show, but yes.
yes. Your career's over. But I want to ask you a question. What are your thoughts on this? Is Trump, people are now saying, they use this phrase, running the table.
Right.
I don't even know what that means.
It has to do with, it's like a ding-dong ditch. It's a whole thing that you do. The secret for Trump is you have to say his name correctly. You have to have a deeper, say Trump. You have to have it rise up out of you so that it calls to other Trump supporters.
Exactly.
You hearken to them across the space.
They were right.
Well, of course they're right. And you know what's funny? The Republicans are terrible as a party. I mean, they are terrible at elections. They're terrible at all this politics stuff. They have a serious problem. Donald Trump is kicking their behinds. And they said,
thanks for controlling your language.
Well, behinds, I know.
You could have said ass.
Well, wait a minute. This may be cable, but I want to live up to a unicorn-worthy standard while I'm here.
Yes.
Donald Trump is crushing the Republicans. They wanted to believe after Iowa he lost by a bit in Iowa, and they said, oh, well, there is no Trump. Let's go back to killing Marco Rubio. And I said, well, that's stupid. I mean, that's really dumb. They have to focus on Trump because Trump is engaged in what is essentially a leveraged buyout of the Republican Party. He is a minority stakeholder. He's a minority shareholder, but the rest of the board's votes are too divided to stand up to his offer. Now, the board is thinning. Jeb Bush, El Hebe, has left. There are fewer of them. The vote is less divided, and it will at some point become a Trump and contra-Trump. It'll either be Trump or not Trump.
Contra-Trump.
Contra-Trump. And that moment will come, and when it does, it'll be bad for Trump.
I had contra-Trump for 6 weeks. I had to take Valtrex, and it still comes back. Nick!
Did you have moderate to severe?
Yeah, I had moderate to, yes, exactly. It lasted 4 hours. I had to go to the emergency room. I told them I fell on it.
Humira.
Humira.
Married in one shot.
We're doing all of the Fox commercials.
Yes. Catheters. I need a catheter.
Yes, I reverse mortgaged my catheter.
If you've been buying gold, you could have gotten one of those catheters.
Exactly. William Devane has all my catheters in his safe. All right.
Yeah.
Nick, thoughts?
About what?
About what the hell happened last night, you idiot?
Well, first of all, Jeb Bush, I can't believe he got into the race in the first place with that name. Every time I saw Jeb Bush, I heard the music they play on The Price is Right when somebody loses. And then when he said he was suspending his campaign, he had to say, please clap.
I know.
Come on.
Trump, you think I like Trump because he's sexist?
He's like, no, Trump is ripping off you.
He's anti-immigrants. Okay, you got me.
Yeah. No, I'm convinced that Trump listens to your podcast because everything he says, you say a day before.
He'd be doing a lot better if he's listening to my podcast.
Yes. And it would double your audience.
Absolutely. So, but I don't know who we can't lose.
Yes.
Trump, Cruz, Rubio. I mean, come on.
Yeah.
9-year-old socialist.
Yeah.
Who's getting young women's votes.
Yeah. You talking about Hillary?
Yes. Yes. You know, if you young girls want to feel the burn, you know, have unprotected sex.
Okay. Thank you, Nick.
All right.
Yeah, actually, you know what? That's a great message for America's youth, and I applaud you for that. No, it is. He's basically just told you to wear protection.
Right.
Speaking of protection, Baker, your former CIA. The one thing that worries me about Trump, and I've said this before, very vague on specifics about what he's going to. Yes. Thoughts? How do you feel after Saturday?
How do I feel after Saturday?
Yes.
I feel like we're approaching the end of days.
Really?
Right? I don't know. I mean, look, I understand. I get it about, at first, it was the entertainment value, right? And all that whole brain trust, who at the very beginning of this exercise thought Jeb Bush was going to do it because he had the support, he had the dollars, everything. Now all that brain trust is out there saying, well, I don't even know why he bothered to get in the race. But nobody saw this coming. Nobody saw Trump at this point. Well, besides you.
I told him to run.
To be fair.
Yeah. You were there.
Yeah.
I was.
You were there when I told him to run for president. I said,
did this?
Yes, I did it. But he was planning on it anyway. We were at his office, and I said, you should run. And he goes, what did he say? He said, if I run, the whole place is going to go crazy. They will see nothing like this. That's my impression of Trump.
But people made that leap. People made the leap from him being entertaining to somehow they jumped that chasm to think he's a good president. He's a presidential material guy. And I don't get that. I don't understand it. I understand that there's a lot of anger out there. I think all that anger is directed at the past 7 years of this administration and what they've been doing here in this country. But at some point, we have to look and think, it's not going to be Bernie Sanders. It's going to be Hillary Clinton. We've got to have somebody who can beat Hillary Clinton.
He might do it, though, Joe. You know why? He has all of those former contestants from The Apprentice that can come out for him like Omarosa. Whatever she says, I say yes. But you know what? He is getting people outside of the party, right?
I think so, yes, because he does appeal to a large range of people by being so vague.
Everybody can be angry.
Yes, everyone can be angry. I definitely, as a woman, I have so many emotions.
You do. You
know?
Yes.
So I definitely get that, the emotional aspect. But if
you're very emotional parts of the time.
Are you okay?
Not the whole time.
I'm okay. But when he's up against a Rubio who can really offer those policy plans, just one is going to seem more prepared than the other.
Neither is offering specifics, to be fair. But at what point do we step back and say, what, President Trump?
It's possible. I want to bring Kat in because, Kat, you always have a unique perspective on how, from the libertarian point of view, or what I like to call the point of view that will never get elected.
Well, yeah, we can see from the rise of Trump that reasonable ideas are not so popular, which is unfortunate.
Wow.
I have spent a lot of my day being sad about Jeb Bush, though, and I don't know why.
Because he was a good person.
I don't know why. It's bothering me. I'm going to journal about it later. I live a passionate life.
You do.
But, you know, Trump, okay, so the Conservative Party has been trying for a while to libertarians and hawks and evangelicals, and everyone's kind of all over the place, and nobody really likes anybody. So they're saying, oh, it's kind of funny when that guy says that thing about the wall. I like him, right? Yes. Whenever he says build the wall, build it quickly, I laugh, even though I know that this all means we're in the end times. So...
It's not the end times. This could actually...
the end times. They're coming at you, Greg, and you better be ready.
No, I prefer to deny it because, you know, I have a bunker and I filled it with all those cans of seeds.
Seeds? Cans of
You know those commercials that sell the cans of seeds?
Are you trying to put us out of business?
Yeah.
We're trying to have a channel here, Gutfeld, okay?
Yes. All right. Is it possible? Is it possible that this is going to happen? This is going to happen, Chris. We're going to have a President Trump. He could beat Hillary.
Well, I mean, to be fair, if you are under indictment, it is rather hard to win the presidency.
Yes.
The Republicans have to choose carefully for two reasons. One, Hillary Clinton will be much harder to beat in a general election than they would like to believe, because she'll start out with 47 or 48% of the vote. And she and Donald Trump scored the same on two metrics in a consistent number of polls, again and again and again. They score the same in two areas.
Ankle thickness.
You know, they told me I shouldn't come on this show. They told
Terrible. Do not applaud that joke. Do not applaud that joke. Terrible.
They told me I shouldn't come on the show, and they were right. And they were right. They scored the same in two metrics, and that is...
You keep saying metrics.
Yeah.
That's why you shouldn't be on the show.
I know. There's a lot of reasons.
Isn't that Canadian?
Yeah.
And so there's two metrics.
Smell the syrup. The danger is, I was born in Michigan, which is dangerously close to Canada, by the way.
Hey, Chris.
Wow, it's not
what are those two metrics?
The two metrics. Mike, I'm glad you asked, because the two metrics.
Here's the problem. Here's the problem. Demographics. Trump needs to win 30% of the non-white vote, and that's the concern. Because, right? What?
Why is that a concern?
Because that's just
Why is
the
that
numbers.
a concern? Black guys love Trump.
Yeah, that's true.
They do.
Yeah.
Seriously.
Wait, what?
But what about Hispanics?
You heard Hispanics. He's got a huge number of Hispanics working for him.
Huge, yeah.
Wow.
Working for him doesn't mean voting for him.
Don't be so afraid of Trump, you bunch of chickens.
And there you have it.
Thank you.
Vote for Trump.
No, I'm not saying that. I'm a Cruz guy.
Okay. You like Cruz?
I do.
Really?
Yes.
Why?
I'm very religious.